program is brought to you in association with First National Bank of Botswana.
FNB, how can we help you?
It is that time of year again where, like clockwork, we gear up to clean out and clean up our act to improve our lives by way of setting New Year's resolutions. Well, this is natural because the New Year is not only considered a time of celebration, but a chance to start afresh. Some people resolve to focus more on their health by going to gym and eating healthier, while others vow to make strides in their career. Some people go so far as to set resolutions on how to make more informed financial decisions. Good and noble as that may be, an article online by Tony Robbins states that more than 80% of all resolutions fail by February. 80%. The article continues to add that while we go into the new year with the best of intentions to make good on these resolutions, it does not take long for many people to give up or forget about these resolutions entirely. The question then becomes, if people are looking to make better decisions to change their lives, why does it seem so difficult to stay the course to see these changes through? What is the best approach to ensure that you can look back at the end of the year and celebrate the successful outcomes of your efforts? Well, with chartered financial analyst Malik Shehu, who's here to share his insights on this topic. Malik, thank you so much for coming here on First Issues and affording us your time today. We're talking about New Year's resolutions. So what we want to find out from you is that people want to change their lives, right? But they find it so difficult to stick and commit to seeing their New Year's resolutions through, so much so that more than 80% of all resolutions fail as early as February. Why do you think that is?
The first answer would be discipline. People lack a lot of discipline when it comes to the finances, or when it comes to anything in general. You start something, you tell yourself you want to start something, but a few months later, a few days later, it becomes too hard to fulfill. So they let it go along the way, right? And you can see this even in people's personal development, right? You start a new course and you do it the first month, the second month, third month, you're bored of it and you want to do something else. So that also can translate into people's New Year's resolutions in terms of their finances, their career, or their long-term goals. You start something now. After a while, you decide, okay, this is too much for me, or I don't have the patience enough to go through with it. And then you end it and you cut it short. So if you're not disciplined enough, then it will fail in February or March. It won't see the December that you want to go to. It won't see the next year or 5 years from now that you want to see, okay? And another one, I think, would be we are very impatient. When we don't see progress happening right now, we give up, right? So it's a mix of lack of discipline and we want things now.
Malik, we're living during times that require for us to be very cognizant and very aware of where our careers can take us and what we need to do to get there. So what are some of the things that we need to be mindful of or take account of that would ensure that when we set our resolutions, we'll get to where we need to?
Long term, medium term, and short term. All right. So first things first, I know a friend of mine who told me whenever he thinks about the future, he thinks about what he wants to achieve many years from now, and then he dials it back to what he has to do now to get there. All right. So when you think about the short term, think about, okay, I want to be, let's say, a manager or CEO in 10 years, 15 years from now. All right. Okay. So what do I have to do now to get there? It could be doing short courses or doing your MBA or, starting something now that could give you visibility in terms of your career and everything. So when it comes to your finances, the same concept still applies. You want to save up for a house. You want to save up for a car. You want to save up for your child's education. All right? Start now. And by now would mean putting money in your savings account or going to an asset manager and say, hey, I want to invest. This is my long-term plan, right? And this is what I want to achieve. So assessing where you are currently, assessing where you want to be in the future can help you strategize and create a plan for you to get there at the end of the day. All right, so in terms of your financial resolutions, you have to decide what it is you want and where you are currently and how are you going to get there. All right, so save, invest, start small. Patient money can grow it can go a very long way. So start small and then build up and be patient as you go through with it as well.
Malik, one of the most common resolutions that people set are to do with their finances, savings, investments, and what have you. So when making these, what should they be most aware of, or what should they take into consideration?
Would you agree with me when I say that our careers are simply a means to an end? Means to an end in that when you get a job, you get paid for doing the job. The money that you're going to use it to pay your rent, or you're going to use it to pay your mortgage, or you're going to use it to prepare for your retirement, and so on and so forth. It's just a means to an end. So I think decide what your end goal is, all right? The example I gave, for example, was you wanted to be a CEO. Decide how lavish you want your retirement to be. Decide where you want your kids to go to school. Decide what kind of house you want to live in. Decide what kind of car you want to live in. That's basically the end, right? And then plan your career around those future financial goals that you have, okay? So if you wanted to be, let's start even at the basics. If you wanted to get out of your parents' house, look for a job that could cover your rent and your expenses, okay? That's you starting small. The goal was just to get out of your parents' house. Now you have a job that could afford that lifestyle that you want, to be able to live independently, even if it's a 1-bedroom or a 2-bedroom, right? And then, so you decide, okay, in order for me to achieve this is a certain type of job I need to have, okay? And then to get there, you would decide, okay, for me to get this job, these are the qualifications that I need. Decide where it is you want to be and then plan your career around that. If it's you trying to, let's say you've amassed amount of debt and it's a bit too high and you want to take it down, decide what you need to do, or rather what job or jobs you need to take on in order for you to pay down those debts quicker so you can be, financially liquid. Decide, okay, I just sold my car. I want to buy a new car. Decide what type of job would give you the salary that you would need to pay down, for example, if it's a down payment for a car, or if you want to buy it cash. So you have to decide where it is you want to go, what your end is, and then work your career around that at the end of the day. In terms of education, in terms of our careers, there would always be progressions, all right? You would start maybe with a bachelor's or diploma, and then you'd go into your MBA, and then you go into maybe a master's, your PhD, and so on and so forth. So when you want to progress in your career, you would always need some academic qualifications. So then you have to then research and find out, okay, this is my field. So let's say I'm in the finance field. This is my field, all right? And I want to become an institutional wealth manager or an asset manager or investment banker. I then go look for certain courses that would help me achieve that, okay? However, you also have to look at your environment. Just because you want to achieve something doesn't mean that in the future it's still going to be around or relevant. You then have to look at where you are currently in terms of the world to say, okay, now where's the world going? And then you put yourself in that position where you can benefit from that. So if the world is going towards tech and you like finance, why not mix them both? Why not do finance and coding? You can then research, okay, which best schools can offer this qualification for me to be able to achieve that, right? If you want to go into institutional investing, you can say, okay, you have your ACCA, you have your CIMA, you have your CFA. Which course allows me to achieve what it is I want to do? You can do both, such that you can touch on accounting and finance. You can do ACCA and CFA, or CIMA and CFA. You can add in CISI as well, that's Chartered Institute of Securities and Investment. You can do all that in terms of education to put yourself in a position whereby your career grows, your career progresses.
In Africa, help is what we do. That is why we at FNB are relentlessly driven to provide real help to you, the passionate and courageous, the creators and the optimists. These are the entrepreneurs we support, the communities we uplift. It is because of you that real help is what we do. FNB, how can we help you?
Resolutions are not only tied to our finances and our careers, it's all aspects of our lives. So in that, what common template can people use to, better themselves, to make better resolutions that could easily be met? What must they be cognizant of?
I think awareness is the first step. Right? You need to be aware of what you've been doing in the past, and you need to be aware of what it is you want to achieve in any aspect of your life, be it career, finances, relationships, anything, all right? So you have to be honest with yourself first and foremost to say, okay, this is what I want, and then sit down and plan on what you have to do to achieve what it is you want. If 2021 showed me this, and this is what I've been doing so far, I think I want 2022 to afford me this. I want to do certain things by the end of 2022. If it's a job, if you want to be able to work in a different industry by the end of 2022, then you have to decide what courses you're going to take to get to that level. If you decide you want 100,000 pula in your account by the end of 2022, you then have to sit down and decide how much you have to save or invest to get there, all right? And another important thing that you have to understand is we can't do everything by ourselves. We suffer from what is called bounded rationality. We don't know everything. However, other people know what we don't know. So another tip for you to be able to achieve what it is you want is to seek help from the professionals who can do these things. So if it's your career, you can watch videos on YouTube on how to progress in your career. If it's your finances, you can sit down and speak with a financial advisor. If it's, you want to achieve a certain, you want to reduce your debt, then speak to your private banker or a banker at the end of the day. If you want to get better relationship or whatever, you have to speak to a therapist or something like that. So it's all about using the people around you who are good at these things to get to where you want to be. So discipline, all right? Get the help that you can, because we don't know everything. So seek professional help from all aspects of your life, and also plan at the end of the day. Just don't do anything haywire. You have to say, this is what I want to do. And because you know what you want to do, you would always try to achieve it. Your brain will always tell you, okay, no, this is what you said you're going to do, and you're going to do it. But again, it all goes back to having the discipline to go through with it.